From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting. Diplomatic pressure heating up on Ukraine for peace. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is calling for an immediate commitment to a ceasefire to end the violence in Ukraine. We get details from VOA's Carla Babb.
Secretary of State John Kerry showed his support for the Ukrainian government in Kyiv Thursday, calling for a peaceful solution through diplomacy, but adding there cannot be what he called a one-sided peace.
Russia and the separatists are seizing more territory, terrorizing more citizens, and refusing to participate in serious negotiations. Let there be no doubt about who is blocking the prospect of peace here. They continue to refuse Ukraine the control of its own border.
French President François Hollande and German President Angela Merkel were in Kiev to present a ceasefire plan. Carla Babb, VOA News, Brussels.
The French and German leaders will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow Friday to further discuss their plan. Cameroon says at least 91 civilians were killed by Boko Haram since Nigerian militants invaded Cameroonian villages Wednesday. The defense minister told VOA that 6 Cameroonian soldiers and 13 Chadian soldiers also died in clashes with the gunmen in and around the border town of Fotokol. Jordanian warplanes launched airstrikes against Islamic State targets Thursday, a day after the country's king vowed relentless targeting of the militant group, following its gruesome killing of a Jordanian fighter pilot. No information was given on the targets of Jordan's military airstrikes. King Abdullah visited the family of slain pilot Muad al-Qasasba at their home in southern Jordan Thursday. This is VOA News. The Yemen branch of al-Qaeda says one of its top commanders, Harith al-Nadari, was killed along with 3 other militants in a U.S. airstrike in the country's south. Nadari was most recently seen on video praising last month's deadly attack on France's Charlie Hebdo newspaper. The death toll from the crash of a passenger plane in Taiwan rose to 32 Thursday, as search and rescue operations continued for 11 people still missing. The twin-engine Trans-Asia plane went down moments after takeoff from Taipei's Songshan Airport Wednesday, bound for Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands. The plane's left wing clipped an elevated highway and a taxi cab before crashing into the Qilong River. The plane's flight data and cockpit voice recorder have been recovered to help determine the cause of the crash. Pakistan's Prime Minister is harshly critical of India for using what he calls delaying tactics to resolve the long-running territorial dispute over Kashmir. Ayaz Gul reports.
Pakistan officially observes the so-called Kashmir Day every year on the 5th of February to pledge its political, moral and diplomatic support for separatist groups fighting Indian rule in the divided Himalayan region. In his message on this year's annual day, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif accused Indian security forces of committing human rights violations in Kashmir, a predominantly Muslim region. Later, Mr. Sharif traveled to the capital of Pakistani Kashmir to address the region's legislature. Mr. Sharif again described Kashmir as Pakistan's jugular vein. Ayaz Gul, Islamabad.
An influential body of Nigerian leaders says elections scheduled for February 14th should go ahead as planned. The Council of State, an advisory body chaired by President Goodluck Jonathan, issued its decision Thursday after meeting in the Nigerian capital Abuja. Some Nigerians are calling for a delay because of slow distribution of voting cards and violence in the northeast, where regional forces are battling Boko Haram militants. 5 infants at a suburban Chicago, Illinois daycare center have been diagnosed with measles, adding to a growing outbreak of the disease across the United States. All of the cases involve children younger than 1 who are too young for routine measles vaccination. All are being cared for at home. So far, more than 100 cases of measles have been confirmed in this latest U.S. outbreak. The disease was all but eliminated in the United States in the year 2000 after decades of intensive childhood vaccine efforts. Measles is highly contagious. It is a respiratory disease that causes fever, red and sore eyes, runny nose, a cough, and a rash. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.